So, so here's the bracket here, right? Obviously, the Rams will get the bye there at the top. Whereas that first matchup is the 5-4 matchup. That'd be Green Bay going to Minnesota. Okay, we'll preview the matchups. And then we got Tampa hosting the Cardinals in that 3-6 matchup. And then the Eagles would host the Cowboys in the 2-7. So let's start up top with the Vikings-Packers. Should we say our pick first?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go Vikings. I think for me, I like Aaron Rodgers better. I like Matt LaFleur a little better, obviously, because he's more experienced. I like the defense of the Packers better. But here's what I don't like. First of all, the weapons on the outside, significant advantage for the Vikings. Secondly, with that, what evidence do I have to trust Aaron Rodgers in a big playoff game? I mean, hell, he lost at home in the snow against a warm weather team last year. So do I expect him to go on the road and beat Kirk Cousins? Who, by the way, Kirk Cousins plays very well against Green Bay.
He does. He plays them well. The Vikings always match up well against them.
He's been probably the best Viking quarterback against Green Bay in the last 25 years. They all usually fold, right? Not only has Aaron owned the Bears, he's usually owned the Vikings as well.
Okay, yeah.
Without Kirk Cousins.
Vikings move on.
I think it's the Vikings.
Yep.
Okay, so the Vikings will move on in the 4 slot. Okay, Tampa Bay hosting Arizona. So we were back and forth, right? I think Arizona has really good perimeter weapons. I like Kyler. But here's the thing. They fade at the end of seasons. Right? First of all, Kyler tends to get dinged up, and as a team, they fade. So I'm guessing they win about 7 of their first 10 games. And then from there on out, we have them, 9 and 8? They only win 2 of their next ones, right?
Kind of fizzle out.
They're almost crawling into the playoffs at that point. They don't have a lot of momentum.
Limping in at that point.
And then they get that. At that point, Brady will have most of his pieces back, right? The offensive line will still be shaky.
And plus, it's Tom Brady in the playoffs.
Right. So am I going to bet against Tom in the playoffs? Probably not, especially him hosting a playoff game. I don't think so.
Not this time, no.
Okay, so I think the Bucs move on there. Dallas traveling to Philadelphia. So I mean, say it out loud. Okay, so now moving on. Philadelphia wins that game, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've already outlined why Dallas isn't going to be a good football team this year. You know,
and Philadelphia has an argument to be made that they are amazing.
Right. Dallas lost 3 linemen, 2 wide receivers, a pass rusher. They still have Mike McCarthy as a head coach. Let's go with the Eagles. Okay, so that brings us to the second round, which you can see here. Okay, we'll have the Rams and the Vikings, the Bucs and the Eagles. For me, this round's pretty easy. I think the Rams are a significantly better football team than the Vikings. So I think the Rams will move on there. Not a whole lot needs to be said at that point. The Rams are a much, much better football team.
Yeah, there's no way they slip to the Vikings at that point.
Especially at home.
With an improved roster, no.
Okay, so now the Bucs and the Eagles. Now this is a little bit of a toss-up, so it's going to be in Philly. But here's the thing. Tom plays just fine in cold weather. He's done it his entire career.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, I think Todd Bowles is at least a more experienced coach than Nick Sirianni, and I do think Brady versus Hurts is a pretty lopsided discussion. And if you have the better coach and the better quarterback in a playoff game, 9 times out of 10 you're going to win. So I think the Bucs go to Philly and quote-unquote upset the Eagles, although it won't feel like an upset because it's Tom Brady and the Bucs.
Yeah, a great season though, boys, for the Eagles.
Hey,
hell of a run.
This is the next step, right? They got to the playoffs last year. This next step, win a playoff game, which they will.
There you go.
Okay, so that sets up, again, you can see it here, the Rams and the Bucs in the NFC Championship game. Rematch of the divisional round last year. And for me at this point, I think it's pretty clear it's the Rams. Look, the Bucs are already dealing with injury issues, so after a 17-game season plus 2 more, so you're looking at a 19-game season. This is game 20.
Really tough.
We don't even know, granted, when Brady's in the championship game, I think he'd be committed, but at the end of the day, it's still on his mind. Who knows what injuries might pile up. Now, granted, I think they might be a little healthier by then. I would hope so, at least.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think Stafford and those weapons are better than Brady and his weapons.
Absolutely agree.
Okay, yeah, so then the Rams would move on to the Super Bowl. You'll see their logo there. Boom. They're moving on.
That's the NFC for you.
So let's see who they're going to play. So the NFC, the Rams are coming out of it. So here is the AFC. So again, to run back through in case you forgot, we got Buffalo at 1. You have the Chargers at 2, the Ravens at 3, the Colts at 4, Broncos at 5, Kansas City at 6, and the Bengals at 7 outlined there. So that'll set up Buffalo with the bye at the top, Denver at 5, Indy at 4. In that matchup at Indianapolis, you'll have the Ravens hosting the Chiefs and the Chargers hosting the Bengals. The Bengals might be the best 7 seed to ever get into the playoffs.
It is insane.
Ever?
It is insane, the talent in this conference.
I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, but so getting to our first preview, there's one team that I think we can say they don't feel really like they belong in this class of teams.
Yeah, I'm looking at them. They're right at number 4.
Right. I think it's pretty fair to say that Indy doesn't really belong in that tier. Or I think they're the next tier down. Right. They're right there.
Look, they're great, and Matt Ryan's a fine quarterback.
Right.
But are they the type of guys that are going to compete with Lamar and the Ravens, who are just a tick above them, the Broncos with Russ, and
the Bengals,
Chiefs
Herbie.
With the Chiefs with Mahomes, and you got Bengals and Joe Burrow. So I mean, you are competing with people that are way out of your league.
So, I mean, if they're in, say, the NFC, they could be a 2 or a 3 seed and actually make some
very
noise.
big threat in the NFC. Not
Absolutely.
over on this side, no.
Couldn't agree more. So in that matchup, I think it's pretty clear we're going to take Denver. The whole let Russ cook. Russ has always been pretty solid in the playoffs, so I have no reason to think he won't continue that. So I think the Broncos win that matchup there. Okay, next we got the Ravens hosting the Chiefs. I've been back and forth. We deliberated.
It's going to be, yeah.
And I always fall back to, in the playoffs, if I had to throw money on a team, who do I feel good about throwing money on? And if it's Lamar, I am a little bit queasy, especially if they get behind. I know he's won a playoff game. He's starting to get better at playing from behind. In a big spot, I got to go with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, but this game is so tough to
That's going to
think
be, if this ends up working out, that's going to be one of the best matchups to watch. And when they play in the regular season, they're always great games.
Yeah.
I think Kansas City edges them slightly. Kansas City moves on. Okay, you got the Chargers hosting the Bengals. I think a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover, right? I think, not that they're crawling in, but I think they're going to be 11-6. They're going to win a couple close ones down the stretch to even get to 11-6. I hate to predict injuries, but after a long playoff run and then another 17-game season,
you're bound statistically to have some.
Right, exactly. And so I think just getting to the playoffs right after getting to a Super Bowl, hey, that's fine, right? That's a pretty good step. Especially if the Bengals can get consistent in the playoffs, then that's a step for them. I don't think they have the firepower to compete with LA right now.
No.
I think from top to bottom, the LA roster is a lot better, and I think the gap between Burrow and Herbert is almost non-existent. So in that case, I'd go with the better roster, which I think is the Chargers.
I don't know. I just don't see Herbert slipping up much through these playoffs, especially. And do you really think there's not that much of a difference between Burrow and Herbert right now?
I think Burrow's probably a more natural leader of
I think
men.
so, but I think Herbert has a way higher ceiling.
Herbert's got a higher ceiling. I think he's a better talent.
Okay.
And I do think he's got a better supporting cast.
All right, yeah. I like.
They're both good supporting casts. I think the Chargers have a better supporting cast and a better defense. And I think in that game it's probably going to be more of a shootout, so whoever can get that one more stop is going to win that one.
One turnover.
Right, and I think that's probably LA.
Yep.
All right, so that sets up Buffalo, Denver, and Kansas City, LA. We'll start with Buffalo, Denver. We both love Buffalo, so I think you got to go Buffalo in that case. Look, Denver is a really solid football team, but they don't have any Josh Allens. They don't have any absolute specimens, freaks of nature. I think defensive head coach and Sean McDermott is going to be able to limit Russ a little bit at least. Again, get that one extra stop that the other team won't get.
Yeah.
I do worry a little bit, though, with Buffalo, especially if it's probably going to be cold weather. Can they run the football effectively? And we know the Broncos can, so that worries me a little bit, but I still think I'm going to lean Buffalo in this case.
I mean, that team is
top to bottom,
stacked.
they're better. Yes.
Stacked up this year.
Yeah, I agree. So Buffalo would move on. Okay, you got Kansas City at 6, visiting LA, the 2-seeded Chargers. I think it's pretty clear. Actually, that's a lie. It's not clear at all. But we're going to go with the Chargers. For me, it's clear, but in the grand scheme, I realize that it's not a super obviously moment. Right? Mahomes is still really, really good, but I don't think they're going to have the weapons to, again, stack up with LA.
I think
LA is on a different level, and I think this is the next step for Justin Herbert to take. I think he's right here. He leads them to the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, I think this is it. This is the one. This is going to be the game where everybody looks back and goes, that's when Justin Herbert set himself apart. Because we're still projecting him right now. We're still talking about, Justin Herbert's ceiling. I said it a minute ago. Justin Herbert's ceiling. Well, I think we're going to start to see flashes of where that actually is this year and see how far he can lead this team. And I think a revenge game against Mahomes after he lost last season is going to be just the perfect time to just let it ride. And Chargers win there.
I think it's gonna be a big spot for a big time player. Okay, so we got the Bills and the Chargers. I said Herbert's ready to take a step up. I don't think getting to the Super Bowl is the step up that they are capable of taking right now. I think that is Josh Allen's step to take, and I think he will take it. And so we got Buffalo going to the Super Bowl. They'll meet the Rams.
Yeah.
I think that seems pretty fair.
And hey, in the Chargers' defense now, because, I'm just high on them for a second, then they just get turned around and knocked off by the Bills. It's going to take a couple years until they're Super Bowl ready. We said that. We did, I think, how many months ago did we do the Are We There Yet? And we had the Chargers in there, I think, for about 2 or 3 seasons. So just a little more time to really improve that roster and get everything buttoned up, because there are still some holes, and wait for Justin Herbert to start taking those steps.
I agree. Okay, so you got the Bills and the Rams in it. I don't think the Rams are going to be able to repeat. I think at the end of the day, this is the Bills' year. The Bills Super Bowl. Let's predict a score. I'm going to go 29-24. Buffalo wins on a little last-second-ish type of play. That's my prediction.
29-24.
29-24.
That's very low scoring for these two offenses, though. I was thinking, I don't think it's going to be that close. I think Buffalo handles them. I think it's going to be
really. Wow.
Yeah, maybe 34-28. Dare I say?
34-20. I mean, that's only 1 point more than the game I said.
No.
Score I said. All right, whatever. All right, so we both got Buffalo, slightly different scores, but Buffalo by almost a touchdown for us both over the Rams in Super Bowl. So hey, those are our predictions. Hey, we'll see how it goes.